All right, and we are back. Live, recorded to tape from Frankie from Flatbush headquarters. And as you can see, the way things look behind me, these will not be the headquarters for very much longer. We're getting ready to move. We got to get out of here. We got to go somewhere else. We got to go find a better place to be to have the Frankie from Flatbush headquarters. And we will be doing that. So we got that going on. But in the meantime, we got to talk about what? The New York Jet coaches. Yes, the New York Jets have finalized their coaching staff, and it's completely done as far as the coaches are concerned. And so that means we can now grade these coaching hires. So let's take a look on an A through F or incomplete scale. Share the screen here and take a look at all of these coaches that we hired. All right. Uh, Look at this. I mean, look at all these people. Now, the only people who are down here in the F/incomplete column, generally people without much experience. This is Roosevelt Williams. This is McKissick Luke. This is Nat Kinn, and this is Alonzo. But let's go see about these coaches. Maybe you've never heard of a Roosevelt Williams. This is our defensive assistant that we hired. All right. Joins the Jets after his most recent stint as cornerbacks coach for Houston Christian University. All right. Then before that, he was at Hardin Simmons. These are not big name schools, but he's been at these other places. Now he was a player in the league, drafted in the third round in 2002, and he played for the Jets in '05. Okay, but this is a defensive assistant, so that's a low level guy. The defensive assistant is a guy who will do whatever you need him to do. Cut up some film, go get coffee. He's the kind of lowest man on the totem pole. And so he doesn't have much experience, but he's starting out. So we'll see how he does now. So that's why he kind of gets an F or incomplete. There's not much to know about this guy. What about McKissick Luke? Nick McKissick Luke is this gentleman here. Now, this is our running backs coach. Now, Nick McKissick Luke was at the University of Minnesota, so that's a big school, obviously, that people have heard about. And he had some success with that. But then before that, he was with Northern Illinois, Youngstown State, South Dakota, Benedict College. So nothing in the NFL. So we're giving him his first shot at the NFL. So he goes in the incomplete F column because he got no experience in the NFL. We have no idea what he's going to do. But he's the running backs coach. That's not a high position coach. Now, this other fella, Brian Natkin, okay, interesting fella. He's the assistant offensive line coach, mostly coming out of UTEP, Colorado State Pueblo, and then rest of his coaching gigs have been on the college level. One stint to the NFL team, he was the Cardinals' assistant offensive line coach, so he does have some college experience. I mean NFL experience, and probably I think overlap maybe with Hayden, Steve Hayden, the offensive line coach over there. That's probably where it came from. But otherwise, he's got college experience. So he did play in the NFL. He was a tight end. So this guy is just not that experienced. So therefore, he goes in the F. Incomplete there. This is Coach Alonso here, or Alonso Escalante. I mean, his first name's Alonso. That's why I got it mixed up. Alonso Escalante, hometown New Jersey. So this is a New Jersey guy. He's our defensive assistant / nickel. He also coached at Tenafly, New Jersey High School, but he was with the Panthers in 2021. So this guy does have some NFL experience. So not much to speak of with Mr. Escalante. So he gets an incomplete F. D. So this is Jeff Blasco. Now this is our tight ends coach. As a Pittsburgh guy, interestingly, Robert Morris University is very near Pittsburgh, and he's worked with Mike McCarthy, uh, and also, so he worked for the Packers, and then he worked for the Browns, and then he worked for the Cowboys. So he's got some experience, but not a big name. Okay, not anybody, not too many people have heard of Coach Blasco, so he gets a D. Then we have Coach Bly here. Now, Dre Bly, you've probably heard of because he was a really good player in the league. But his coaching experience is somewhat more limited. He's had some coaching experience. The college level, the Charlotte 49ers, this is the connection with Steve Wilkes. Wilkes picked him off of the staff there and also has a Detroit Lion connection, so connection to Glenn, so they both knew him. So there's that. He's going to be our cornerbacks coach. Sauce Gardner's already talked to him. This is assistant defensive backs coach is the title. Um, Sauce Gardner referred to him as the cornerbacks coach. So we'll see. But he did have a good career, including over 43 interceptions. So maybe he can help Ahmad with that aspect of his game. We should stop calling him Sauce until he, until he go. You go from all pro to no pro. Uh, you're not Sauce anymore. All right, now we got our offensive line coach, Steve Hayden. This is the one I have probably the most concern with. Here's our offensive line coach. Now, Hayden is a very experienced coach. He came over from Dan Campbell's staff, so that's good. But he was a tight ends coach over there. And in this little write up, he's got some, he gets a little bit more of a write up. He was a assistant offensive line coach in 2018, but then coached the tight ends from 2019 to 22. So that's where the overlap with that assistant line coach came from. Um, when asked what he'd look for in a prospect, Hayden said a football guy, smart, disciplined, loves the game, and is tough. I think those are kind of my core principles. But he's been a tight end, so he had a long career in the NFL as a tight end, so that's good. But and he's been a tight ends coach, but not that much experience as an offensive line coach. So that's what worries me about Coach Hayden. That's why he gets a D. Okay. Now then we have Cameron Davis, assistant defensive line coach here. Not a lot of experience, but he comes over from the Lions staff, so he gets a D instead of an incomplete because trusting that Glenn is familiar with him. Now, on the C level here, we got these four gentlemen: Harris, Curry, London, and Willingham. Willingham. Yeah, here's Nathaniel Willingham. Now Willingham got a promotion. Coach Willingham was on the staff last year. I did have to correct Dennis Wazak of the AP on X. If you're not following me on X, you really should. Um, I did correct him. He was wrong about something, but that's the purpose of the independent media to shame and correct the lazy legacy media. He was saying that Willingham had not been retained. He did get retained. So he's up here basically because he got a promotion. Well, here's Willingham. He's a B. Who's this coach? Wait a minute. Got these guys confused. Oh, this is Junior Taylor. Right. So Junior Taylor's the other one who stayed on with our staff. There were a number of them. Willingham was one. Junior Taylor's another. He's our offensive assistant, but he gets bumped up on my thing because he sticks around on this staff. So in other words, there was staff turnover, and they kept him. So that's good for Mr. Taylor, I think, Coach Taylor. Then you got Charles London here. Now, so a lot of people didn't like Charles London this hire for some reason. This man has 16 years of experience. I'm not sure why people don't like Coach London, but he's been held coaching positions in the league for nearly 20 years. Has been a coach on the offense, quarterbacks, running backs, passing game coordinator. Spent time with the Seahawks, Geno Smith, and other teams. Atlanta, and Tennessee. I guess people don't like him because Atlanta and Tennessee did not have good quarterback play, but he did. He's not the one who drafted Desmond Ritter. He's not the one who drafted Will Levis. Maybe those guys just stink. Only so much a coach can do. Um, so that's Coach London, a lot of experience. So he's a C hire for me. Now, Aaron Curry, here's an interesting guy. He's our linebackers coach. We stole him from the Steelers, and he's the brother of Eric Barton. Many people may not know because they have different last names, perhaps. But he was a very high draft pick, and then he kind of was a bust through no fault of his own, which is an interesting story. I mean, it wasn't for lack of effort or things of that nature. Just didn't work out for him as a player, even though he was very highly regarded. And so he has a lot of experience, and I think he can really talk to some of our high draft picks on how they need to, as kind of like a cautionary tale. He was a high draft pick, and his career went down the tubes very quickly as a player. But he's been coaching for a while. He's been under Coach Tomlin over there in Pittsburgh, so that's excellent. So he gets a C. Coach Harris, Chris Harris here, well regarded defensive backs pass game coordinator. This means defensive coordinator, how to prevent other teams from passing. And I don't think we had that on our staff last year, by the way. But Chris Harris is very well regarded. He comes from Tennessee, where he was the Titans. He had the same thing, and they rank second in the NFL in allowing only 177.3 net passing yards per game, and so only 6.37 net passing yards per play. So that's excellent. So Chris Harris, our defensive pass game coordinator, excellent, gets a C. This is Kuzmarek, and this is Willingham here. They both got promoted from our staff. So anytime you can survive a coaching changeover and get promoted at the same time, that's good. So they're both a B, I would say. This is Mr. O'Day, Kevin O'Day, that is. So he's our special teams assistant. You can see here he's got tons and tons of experience. He's going to be assisting Coach Banjo. And so because of that, he's on the B tier. Then we got Coach Washington here, Eric Washington. Now, this is an interesting hire, defensive line coach, but Coach Washington has a lot of experience, 18 years. So you can see here that we have a good mix of experienced guys and young up-and-comers, right? So I kind of like this, 17 years NFL coaching experience, and Steve Wilkes knew him. And so he's going to be taking over the defensive line. And hopefully we get him some players as opposed to last year. Then you have Scott Turner. So now we're getting into some of the guys that people know. Scott Turner's been around the league a while. Now he has excellent experience, 14 years worth. And he's not the offensive coordinator. He's the senior assistant pass game coordinator, offensive pass game coordinator. So he's basically going to be assisting the youngster, Tanner Engstrom. Now, the interesting thing about Scott Turner is with Turner, you get a twofer. You not only get himself, you also get Norv Turner as well. And how do I know that? Well, they worked together last year for the Raiders. When Scott Turner was working for them, he would talk about how he would run things across by his dad all the time. So is it nice to get a Scott Turner and a Norv Turner unofficially on the staff? I would say yes. That's a twofer. And he's not the offensive coordinator. He's just basically assisting Tanner Engstrand. So that is a very good hire, in my opinion. Same thing with Tanner Engstrand. Now, you look at this in combination, it starts to make sense how this staff is coming together. Engstrand, only 6 years of experience. He's the OC, been described by people in the media as a brilliant mind, okay? And, of course, comes over from the Lions, where they had a prolific passing attack, as well as just an overall offense, and thought of to be very creative, very innovative, okay? But the only thing is, he was the quarterback's coach over there. He wasn't the OC. And so a little bit of inexperience, which is where Scott and Norv Turner come in, you see. But thought of as an up-and-comer, so he's definitely a B. Sean Jefferson also stayed over from the last administration, if you want to call it. Everybody knows Sean Jefferson, great coach. We give him a B. Chris Banjo, that's the special teams coordinator here, came over from Denver. Very well regarded. Everybody likes him. Had a long career in the league. He gets a B. And then, of course, Steve Wilkes is an A because of the experience that he has, including head coaching experience. And Aaron Glenn, of course, is an A because he's one of the best candidates in this year's cycle. And he went 7 for 7, 7 openings for head coaching positions. And all 7 teams wanted to talk to Aaron Glenn. So he was very much in demand. And one of the best coordinators out there, and we got him. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, instead of just all of looking at these people individually, think about it like this. For every single spot where there's inexperience, we put over top of that, we put experience. So Aaron Glenn's a little bit he's very inexperienced as a head coach, right? This is his first head coaching gig. Well, we got Steve Wilkes on staff to assist with that. And even though they're both defensive minds, Wilkes has twice been a head coach. So we have the experience on top of the inexperience there. Chris Banjo is a little bit inexperienced as a special teams coordinator. Well, we got Kevin O'Day up to assist him. And also Mike Westhoff's going to come in and help as well. And according to reports, so we have experience over top there. Tanner Engstrand is inexperienced as an offensive coordinator. Well, we got Scott Turner and Norv Turner over top to account for that. So everywhere that there's inexperience, we hired an experienced guy as an assistant or in a different position to assist. So that way you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get these up and comers, and then you account for the risk of their inexperience with some of these old heads on the staff. So it can provide guidance, be a sounding board, et cetera, et cetera. So as a staff, this seems like a really good plan. Now we got to see how they do. We don't know how they're going to do it. From the outside, it looks pretty good. The only thing that worries me is the offensive line. Hyden's not the most experienced guy as far as offensive line, and we didn't hire an old head to help him. We hired Blesko, who's has some experience, but is more in the tight end area, or has been. And so I'm a little concerned about the offensive line coaching. But other than that, you can see as a plan, that's not a bad plan, especially considering our circumstances. Right? We're the Jets. This is not the most attractive place to come and coach. And especially after all the media reports came out, and probably it's 40, 50% true, what you read in the Athletic, right, from Dirty Diana and Rosenbleck, right? But some of it's true for sure. And so, you got that. People are looking at that going, is that a situation I want to be in? And then I got to go all the way to New Jersey where the weather's terrible most of the time, and, the high tax rate, and you can't even pump your own gas. And if you shake hands with a woman, you're probably getting mononucleosis, let's be honest. Just ask Sam Darnold about that one. So considering all of that, this is a pretty good staff. And overall, I would say it's a B. Overall, for me, this is a B staff. And considering we're the Jets, to get a B staff, I think we got to be pretty happy with that. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, and we got a long way to go. So if you could just help us out with that, I'd appreciate it. And if you don't want to do that, at least give it a like on this video. I'd appreciate that. And with that being said, I'll see you next time.
Non-pertinent. How do you log that non-pertinent?
No drug talk?
They use codes to hide their patron phone numbers. And when someone does use a phone, they don't use names. And if someone does use a name, he's reminded not to. All of that is valuable evidence.
Of what?
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
We're building something here, Detective. We're building it from scratch. All the pieces matter.